Okay. Now that we have everyone and we've got everything ready, our panel moderator for today is Toastmaster Kartiki. Currently, she's from Mulund Toastmasters Club, and currently she's pursuing her third year in bachelor's degree with a majors in psychology. She's very actively engaged with Mulund Toastmasters Club for the past 2.5 years and has held positions such as Secretary, VP Membership, VP PR, and is currently the Vice President Education for Mulund Toastmasters Club. She firmly believes that in the idea that life is ever evolving journey and has embraced this philosophy starting from the new year. So that looks like a new year resolution. With that, I would hand it over to Toastmaster Kartiki to take it ahead with the panel discussion.
Yes. Good evening and welcome to one and all present here. My name is Kartiki and thank you Toastmaster Sanjeev for introducing me. Well, we all have gathered here today for an amazing discussion on the topic such as selecting the electives. Well, it just reminded me of my college days when I had to select the electives. Deep down in my heart, I knew that I wanted to choose arts, but I never actually studied the subjects which it offered, such as psychology, such as philosophy, logic, Sanskrit. And I was confused and worried, shall I go ahead with these subjects? But my instinct told me that yes, Kartiki, you should go ahead with it. And let me tell you all that I love studying these subjects till date. But Toastmasters also offers us electives. But what exactly are electives? And when do they start? Well, electives in Toastmasters start after you complete your level 2. And electives help us to explore new and unfamiliar topics, which can help us to broaden our knowledge and skill set, making you a more versatile communicator and a leader. But selecting from too many can really be a confusion and a hurdle for all of us, right? Well, to commence with the panel discussion, before commencing with the panel discussion, I would request each and everyone in the room to kindly put their mic on mute. I would request the Zoom master to do so and to switch on their cameras to have a beautiful virtual room full of people's faces in it. Yes. Now, I would request, now let's start with the session. To guide us all in our Toastmasters journey, we have two amazing panelists here tonight. Well, talking about introducing to our first panelist, who has been a Toastmaster for the past 5 years and has completed 3 pathways and taken all the roles except the Sergeant at Arms. She has worked in various leadership capacities since the last 3 years, including ex-com positions, area director, and president distinguished division director last year. Now she has taken refuge in guiding mentees and members into various roles. She is currently serving as the program chair for Eloquence 2024. Her hobbies include loving to read books and run. Well, I asked her one thing that people don't know about her, to which she replied that she loves observing people. Please help me welcoming distinguished Toastmaster Jyoti Bhatt. Now, moving on to our second panelist. Well, um, he is a 3-time distinguished Toastmaster, 4-time district level speech contest podium finisher, and 2022 International Speech Contest winner in District 98. He has completed 4 paths in Pathways, tackled elective projects like podcasting, speaking professionally, panel discussion, handling a question and answer session, high performance leadership, and so on. Professionally, he has more than 8 years of work experience spanning across data analytics, software development, training facilitation, and instructional design. Well, when I asked him the same question, the thing which people don't know about him, to which he replied that people think that he only does Toastmasters. But he replied that he watched a lot of movies in theaters and on OTT as well, averaging 4 to 5 in a week. Well, please help me welcome distinguished Toastmaster Santosh Akela.
Thank you. Thanks, Karthikeya.
Good evening, distinguished Toastmaster Jyoti and distinguished Toastmaster Santosh Akela. Um, well, starting on with the panel discussion, I would like to know the reason of joining the Toastmasters. What was that one reason that forced you to join Toastmasters and continue your journey throughout the past years that you have been serving in Toastmasters?
First,
I would like distinguished Toastmaster Jyoti to go first. So,
okay. So it was around 6 years back that I was staying in a township, which is near to a city, and the township is around 25 years old. And there were a lot of things which I saw which could be started in the township on the social work. Like there were a lot of migrant workers staying outside. So, am I not audible to you?
no, no, you are audible.
Okay. Now,
Yes.
is it better?
No, no, you are audible.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's quite feeble, Jyoti. Can you be a little louder?
Okay. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay. So, at that time, okay, wait.
We can't hear you.
Hello, is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So at that time, I had a lot of ideas on how to go ahead with teaching those children. Then there were a lot of things in the township as well that we could help admin with. And around the same time, the admin people were working with removing the disposable plastics from the township. And we volunteered ourselves. There were around 30, 40 ladies that I gathered. And since it was my idea, the leadership was literally thrown on me. So the admin people, they actually asked me. There was one marathon the other night, and around 2,000, 3,000 people were there who were running. And before the show started, he asked me, the admin person, he asked me to speak something about that plastic thing drive. And you won't believe me, Kartiki, I just couldn't speak even two sentences. I was like totally fumbling down there on the platform. And then that time I realized that I have a lot of things to learn in public speaking. And around the same time, one leader was born in the corporate. Her name was Maithili Sathi. And there was one club already, Toastmasters Club. There were four other clubs that she started, one of which I joined. And that's how my journey began. And I didn't find any reason not to continue in Toastmasters for my life.
Wow. That was such an amazing story. Like, I did not. Did the voice come from my side? I guess someone else's mic is on. Yeah. That was an amazing story, Toastmaster Jyoti. Mm. Sorry, I can hear something else. That's
Wait, let me take care.
okay. Yes. Now, we can I request Toastmaster Santosh Akela to share your experience and the reason why you joined Toastmasters?
Yeah, to put it very simple, I have joined Toastmasters to at least utter a sentence without any grammar mistakes or say to make it fluent and understandable to others. That was the very motto of joining Toastmasters because back in 2017, when I have joined, I still have the club that I have joined at that point of time, Agnel Toastmasters Club. I was fortunate enough to join that club, and they record their meetings right from 2013 or whatsoever. I still have my icebreaker or my table topic speech that I have delivered for the first time. I remember the date, 25th of December 2016. And if I see today, the way I spoke then, the way speak today, there is a drastic difference. So I think becoming a better speaker was my main motto of joining Toastmasters. You're on mute. Yeah.
I was muted by the host. Sorry. Thank you, Toastmaster Santosh Akela, for actually sharing the story, which is very quite interesting because I don't remember my first icebreaker. I know that I've fumbled, but yes. Now, before starting the panel, I would like to share the electives over in the chat box so that it can be accessible for each and everyone in the meeting room. I would also request the audience to drop their questions if they have any in the chat box as the panel discussion is going on. Once the Q&A session starts, we can take up the questions. Well, coming to the first question, distinguished Toastmaster Jyoti, I would like to know from both of you, what is the criteria that members should prioritize when choosing the electives?
Okay. Santosh, you want to go first?
E- I mean, you can go. It's fine.
Okay. So earlier when I joined Toastmasters, I felt that there are only two criteria. One is like the corporate people who would join for betterment of their leadership qualities and presentations and all that. And second is personal reasons, like to improve your public speaking skills, to improve your confidence. But later, as I went into it, there are a lot of other reasons that I could find. One was being for the students. They have a lot of benefits in terms of preparing for the interviews. I'm specifically now focusing on the electives, preparing for the interviews, preparing for the question answer sessions. And then, of course, confidence is always there. Then, inspiring your audience. There are many things that a student also can benefit. And I would like to share a story here. In one of my clubs, one fellow had joined and he told me that he has a business, small business. And after he joined in around 1 month, he asked me that in Toastmasters there is something called as raising a toast, right? So I told him yes, there is a uh, elective which is called as social speeches, wherein you can raise a toast. So he told me that please guide me into it. Like how do you prepare that speech? So I guided him, and later I came to know that he was also a local political leader. Later, he also made me help him with the eulogy. Somebody had died in the area, and then he had to give an eulogy. So he benefited, right? He hasn't even given his icebreaker, but then he gave these speeches in his political career, and then he benefited out of it. So, yes, politicians can also benefit out of Toastmasters. And last but not the least, the clubs wherein you have a lot of members and you do not get the speech slots. There you can have projects done, right? So there are projects like active listening wherein you don't have to give your speech. You can be a TTM. So you in those cases you can take up any role and then complete your electives. So I think these are the broad divisions I could
Parameters.
make. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I totally agree with distinguished Toastmaster Jyoti. And now, can we have distinguished Toastmaster Santosh Akela share his answer to this question?
Sure, definitely. Uh, Drawing from what Jyoti has spoken very aptly, she spoke about that local politician that she has met. I think there are a very few parameters that we must choose or we must look into when we are selecting an elective. One would be the need. What do I need? So if you see level one, level two, you're essentially covering your body language, you're writing a speech with purpose, and then your leadership style, communication style, and that forms the foundation or the base for your public speaking journey. And after that, what I feel Toastmasters is asking us or emphasizing is that you choose what you want to do, wherein giving us that freedom to choose. And that starts with the need. What do I want? And number two, how much time do I have? There was a time when I was in level 5 and I had ample amount of time. I felt that I have good amount of time. So I chose high performance leadership. Now I took 1 to 2 months, did that project and delivered two speeches, one at the start and one towards the end. And then again there was one time I thought, okay, I have time, but not a lot of time. And I always wanted to do a panel discussion like Karthik is doing today. And that was the time when I delved into understanding the nuances of a panel discussion. So, need and time, I think these are the two most important parameters that we must look into when selecting an elective.
Okay. Well, adding basing my question on the same thing, when you both started with your first pathway, what was something which led you to choose the particular elective? Distinguished Toastmaster Santosh Killa, can you answer this question? Like when you were starting with your first pathway, which was the first elective, and what criteria you took ahead while choosing the elective?
Okay. The first elective I took was active listening because I thought I was a bit inquisitive about the fact that what is this active listening and everyone is doing table topics master. And what does it have in it to for me to be a table topics master because I have done table topics master role for maybe 10, 15 times by then. But the reality is that once I have done that role, I understood a lot of things. Now, for example, we are speaking on this Zoom meeting. As a table topics master, or even when we are practicing active listening, it is important to bend down a bit. If you see me or Jyoti, we are just leaning down, leaning forward. Why? To show that we are attentive towards you. And that was the evaluation feedback that I have received. And these are very small things that help. And as I said, that was a very good realization for me. Even from a table topics master role that I have taken 10 to 15 times by then, I got some learning by doing that project in a very structured way.
Yes. Distinguished Toastmaster Jyoti, would you like
Yeah.
to?
In fact, my answer was the same, but I would also give one more answer because there are two electives in level 3, right? So, first was the storytelling that I chose. And I mainly chose it because I wanted to prepare for ISC that year, first year. So I chose storytelling, and I really loved telling the story to the audience because you need a lot of other things also, your hand gestures and your voice modulations also along with the content of your story, and increasing their curiosity levels, everything. Second was suggested by my mentor that you take up active listening. Why so? Because he told me that you're very fast to respond. You don't listen and then respond. So it is very important for you to listen properly to whatever people are saying. So that was the reason I took up active listening also.
Okay. Well, now that you have both told us the electives that you took in the first time, we would like to know the elective that was very like you had fun doing that particular elective. And if you can, please also share your experience while you had the fun you had while doing that particular elective. Would Toastmaster Jyoti, would you like to go first?
Yeah, okay. So normally when there are embarrassing moments happening in others' life, that is the most interesting time for you to enjoy that meeting, to be frank with you. So I remember there were two incidences that I remember, especially when the things had gone wrong, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, to be frank. One thing was about this active listening thing only. The member who was very senior Toastmaster, he had taken up that role, and that fellow, he was quite a kind of, he was famous as a, narcissist also. So I was very much interested in knowing how does he listen and how does he respond to the table topic session. And what he did was he asked questions, then the members responded in a table topic speech. And after that speech was over, this fellow said, now that you have given your stance on this statement, let me give you my stance. And then he gave a table topic speech after each speech that a member gave. So obviously, it was a very funny moment for us to watch because that is not what is expected from a active listening project. Of course, he got the evaluation also for that project, that he didn't really complete that project. Then that was a fun moment. Second fun moment was, it was not a fun moment. This is a very important lesson for VP educations, I would say, even to you, Kartiki. My friend's son, he is studying in Pune. So she asked me to recommend a club for him so that he can go there and observe the meeting. So I talked to him. He was in the college. I talked to him. I told him many things about Toastmasters. We do our meetings in a collaborative way. We help each other, constructive feedback, everything. And all pumped up, he went there. And when he came back, I asked him, how was the meeting? He said, what, auntie? You told me so many things. But I saw that the girl, the speaker, was trying to speak something, and there were so many people who were disturbing her. They were absolutely not allowing her to complete her speech. So I had a doubt. I confirmed from that club that it was her managing the difficult audience project. And then it was expected that she would have some disturbances. But a new person like him, he went into the meeting and he got so disturbed that what is this? I'm not going to join Toastmasters. So, as a VP Education, VP membership, it is your responsibility to see who has come in the meeting. If they are not aware about what is going on in the meeting, they have to be told in a proper way. These two things I can remember.
Yes, I can totally feel that, because even if I go to a meeting where everyone is talking, my motivation to join Toastmaster would actually not go ahead. Can we have distinguished Toastmaster Santosh Akela answering the same?
Sure. I think, yeah, even I had fun moments actually delivering, handling difficult audience. And along with that, there was this project, question and answer session, which is for 18 minutes, and you deliver a speech for 3 to 4 minutes. And with all these projects, what happens is that until you see the red card, like for a minute, nobody asks a question. But once they see the red card, they deliberately 3 to 4 people raise their hand, and that is where the learning comes to be assertive and choose one. Or maybe, yeah, maybe you get timed out. But the point is, at least you handle them within 2 minutes, if not in 1 minute. So there, the battle lost, but the learning happens.
Yes, right. This Toastmaster Santosh Akela. Now, you both have a particular strong base of communication and leadership. Now, I would like to know, are there any electives specifically? This question would be for Toastmaster Jyoti. Are there any electives specifically for leadership that you would suggest us?
Yes, definitely. There are many leadership electives. First being the high performance leadership that Santosh mentioned already. Second is managing your presenting your using the presentation software that is always needed at the corporate level. Third is connecting with your audience, because whenever the corporate meetings, whenever they happen, you will always find that the normal fellows who are not Toastmasters, they always find it very difficult to digest that these meetings do not have any agenda. They go on continuously without any agenda and without any particular thing in mind. So that, secondly, active listening is also important for a leader. Also, managing a difficult audience is also important. Managing projects successfully is also one of the projects that you can take as an elective. Then managing online meetings as well. So these projects will not only help you as in corporate also, but suppose if there is a function going on, say marriage function, and the MC didn't turn up. So Toastmaster is one such person who can deliberately go there and say that, yes, I will conduct this session. I will do this. So that confidence is given by Toastmasters, these projects. Secondly, about managing projects successfully, or this inspire your audience, or active listening. I continuously remember my VP head from the corporate club. He keeps telling me that at least 2 3 fellows from my department should attend this meeting of Toastmasters. Why so? Because we put in so much effort in terms of preparing an agenda, following that agenda from time to time, that they should have this skill in the corporate as well. So all these things, they will definitely help. And also, as I mentioned, this social speeches. So social speeches, I would like to ask the audience also, how many of you have tried? Even I will ask you one more question, that how many of you have written something else other than RIP or our condolences to anybody who has lost their near and dear ones? No one, right? So that is where we learn all these. Like, there is no project in Toastmasters which will be out of syllabus. Like everything is included, everything is there in Toastmasters electives.
Yes. Now, coming to Toastmaster Santosh Akela, would you guide us and let us know the electives which focus mostly on the communication journey? Like all of them focus on the communication, but basically, mostly directly.
Sure. So to start with, one project is connect with storytelling, and it dwells into the important elements of a good story, and then effective body language and effective vocal variety. Although you deal with them in level one, there are separate electives for them in level three and four, and they deal with vocal variety and body language in depth. And then using descriptive language. How do you describe beautiful marine drive? How do you describe that beautiful sunset? All these things. So that also helps you. And then I think there is one more project which is prepare to speak professionally. This is most important if you are someone who is in a managerial position and you have to deliver pep talks very often because this is an 18 to 22 minute speech. I think these are some of the important communication speeches that electives that you can choose from.
Okay. Well, distinguished Toastmaster Santosh, you've mentioned that you have also done projects such as podcast, question and answer session. I have one question for you. If we are doing an elective of a lesser heard project, for example, podcast, PR strategy, etc., then how should one approach this stage? How should one approach the preparation stage of this project?
That's a very good question, Karthiki. If you are doing a project that you have never heard of, or rather a project that you already seen, I would say the approach for both of them should be same, excluding or including one or two steps. First step would be get into your portal, Pathways portal, and start going into each and every web page and navigating through the portal diligently. That is one. Once you do that, 80% of your questions, problems, or whatnot will be resolved. Because quite often, what happens is that normally, I'm not generalizing it, but most of the times I see folks just downloading that evaluation sheet, and then there are only 2 to 3 lines, the objective or the purpose of the speech, and then coming up with open-ended questions or going to the mentors or whatnot. So I would say first read the 25 to 30 page manual or the portal which is there. That is one. And number two, still, if you feel that there is something like a podcast or a blog or PR strategies or whatnot, connect with people who have already done that and take some practical insights from them. Now, reading will give you theoretical knowledge on how to do it. And when you speak with someone who has already done that, who has already walked the path, you will get practical insights and what will be the pitfalls or loopholes in what you are going to do. And then the third step would be executing. So I think if you do these three steps, you can ace any elective. And they are fun, in fact. And we are just speaking about the fun of having, delivering those electives, right? So they're all fun.
While you, Toastmaster Santosh, while you are doing these projects, can you share one of the project and the experience or the learnings that you got that make audience like that will create an awareness in the audience to not repeat the mistake maybe while doing that
Sure,
particular project?
sure. Uh, I would share, I don't remember the elective name, but I'll share two learnings. One learning was while creating the podcast. When I was creating the podcast, if I used to speak, my initial 2 to 3 episodes, my vocal was not very good. A podcast, by for your kind information, it is a project that will help you learn one designing skills because you'll design a lot of thumbnails, design a lot of creatives for your podcast. Number two, you will develop your content curation skills. How do you design content and engage audience for a long period of time? And number three, It is your interviewing skills. How do you engage with a guest and then do? And number four, it is your networking skill. How do you go to that guest and approach that person? How do you find the right person? And then you'll also learn finally how to publicize your podcast. There are a plethora of skills. Even I spoke about five skills. I must have missed on two or three more of them. So I think this is one project that has helped me a lot because as I was saying, vocal variety, as I have done 10, 20 episodes, my vocal variety changed. The way I take pauses, the way I stress on certain words, the way I increase and decrease my pitch got changed. I think this is one of those projects. And then and number two is when I was doing the high performance leadership project. I have done that two times. And one skill I have learned during that process was patience. Because these projects that span for even if you are doing bare minimum 1 to 2 months, you will somewhere feel why am I doing this? Or you will have that emotional roller coaster of where is this going? Things are not moving. And that is where I feel this one beautiful quality of patience gets built. So I think these are the two learnings.
Yes, totally agree. While I was going through the electives, I saw some of the electives from the level 1 and level 2 being repeated. And I just questioned why are they being repeated? Maybe we can have another electives. And now that distinguished Toastmaster Santosh Akela stressed upon the vocal variety, which changes all the time you give or deliver new speeches. So I really got an amazing answer to the question why they are being repeated again and again. Well, coming towards Toastmaster Jyoti, what is one thing that you would tell us while we are performing any leadership project? Like as you mentioned, that listening is something which is very important for a leader. But while approaching these projects, there can be some mistakes we can take which can take place. So something which you can make us aware of.
While selecting any of the leadership projects, the first thing that you have to bear in mind is uh, you are not a leader when you are doing this project. You are just a student, kind of a thing. Like you are learning something from this project. So you have to keep your egos, your positions, your everything aside, and then you enter into a project. And that becomes sometimes very, very difficult. I'll give you example. I had taken up this project, elective project, which is focus on the positive. Now, this project requires you to keep note of your emotions and feelings for a particular period of time, and also e- effect of those on others. So it is like I was finding it very difficult. 2 3 months I just left like that. I was finding it very difficult to show my vulnerability to others. This is about that, right? So it is very difficult. Luckily, in the third month, I went on a trip and then I had a lot of interactions. So there I could make a log of such things like making myself aware of these feelings and then how was it impacting the others and what I have to learn out of those things. How do I have to focus on the positive? Ultimately, you have to keep all the negative emotions aside and focus on the positive through that project, right? So
Yes.
that was one of the project which I found very difficult to begin. But then I was bent upon doing that project only because then what's the fun in repeating same projects like which you have done already, right? So that would be my answer. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Well, now distinguished Toastmaster Jyoti mentioned the project which was a bit difficult for her. The Toastmaster Santosh Akela, would you like to also share a project which you kind of have avoided or did not do or was difficult for
I
you?
don't, yeah, I don't say I would have avoided it, but moderating a panel discussion. I always feel it difficult because you call some subject matter experts or senior Toastmasters and then try to interact with them. And then there is that clock ticking, 45 minutes. So I think that is moderating a panel discussion is one of the very difficult projects that I have faced because it's all about asking questions, then asking follow-up questions. It doesn't go according to the script because Karthiki, I know you have shared some questions with me, but somewhere you and I and Jyoti know that this is not going as you have planned, right? But still, you have to take care of this moderation right now. So I think that's the challenge there. You're always on your toes and you have to ask the right questions. And sometimes the answers may not be that good, but still you have to handle them. Of course, I'm being or Jyoti being good people today, not giving you any controversial answers. But there will be situations where you get them and you have to handle them. So I think this is one of the toughest projects that I've had.
Yes.
I remember one more project that was it turned out very funny. I had attempted that question and answer session, and I was showing my skills, particular skills in a particular topic. And I just didn't understand where the time went. And suddenly I saw the red card. And I just stopped. I said, that's about it. I don't know where I stopped. But then the evaluator spoke very well after this that this is not the way you should end your speech, right? Any project or any speech. Like he told me many things about how do you end and how do you take care of time in the next speech. Like normally we take care of such speeches, 5 to 7 minute speeches, we take a lot of practice and all that. We can take care of the time. But then long projects like 20 to 40 minutes, there, managing time, maintaining time is very difficult. So that was one project which I had failed actually because I suddenly stopped in between. But then yeah, there was a learning.
Yes. Learning comes in a very many forms, as you both have mentioned. Now, is there any elective, if given an option, you would like to do it again and again? Over to distinguished Toastmaster Santosh.
Okay. I'd love to do prepare to speak professionally. One, I'd like to do the podcast. I'd like to do writing a compelling blog because I've never done that. That is one elective. While I was interacting with you before this panel, I realized that I've never attempted writing a compelling blog. Maybe these are the three projects that I'd like to do repeatedly.
Okay, distinguished Toastmaster Jyoti.
I have written a blog before, but I think I would love to do that again because that is where you can show your passion about a particular topic. And it was received very well last time. So having so much knowledge supposedly of Toastmasters, I would love to do it again. Second is managing difficult audience. I have done it once. I would like to do that again because that is where actually you get the real feel of an actual scenario, right? And third thing is, it has been always my favorite to have connected storytelling. So that I always try. Because normally, otherwise, my delivery doesn't come well. Absolutely.
Right. Well, distinguished Toastmaster Santosh Akela in the starting itself mentioned that the parameters for choosing or selecting your own electives should be need and the time. Well, if there is a particular Toastmasters, XYZ Toastmasters who would want to complete his or her pathway very soon, so which is the one elective distinguished Toastmaster Santosh Akela, which can be done easily. It's noted that electives do take time, but if you have to choose one elective which can take minimal amount of time and can be done very easily, which would be the one elective that you would suggest?
I would say you can take active listening. You can take using visual aids, a presentation. And along with that, I would also like to share a perspective. Easy and difficult, it is very subjective. Now, I know that for the matter of fact, panel discussion is very difficult. But I know one Toastmaster from my past club, Toastmaster Sanish Babu. On any day, if you give him panel discussion, he would maybe require 30 minutes of preparation. That's it. So it's all about practice. After being on number of panels or being on the stage for a lot of time, maybe he's taking less and less time. So the idea is the more you do, the lesser time you take to execute that project.
Yes.
So I would like to rephrase it and ask you, will you choose an easier project because it takes less and less of a time, or will you do the project multiple times so that even if you do take the most difficult project, it will take you less and less of a time?
The second option.
Great.
Yes. Distinguished Toastmaster Jyoti, would you like to share your
Yeah,
answer?
my answer will match with Santosh because I have learnt it the hard way. Unfortunately, I rushed through my first pathway because I wanted to be the first member from our newly chartered club to complete a pathway. So anyway, I completed it in 1.5 years. But then I was in a very much hurry, and let me tell you all, it is absolutely not recommended by me because then there is of course the thrill is there, but there is no fun, there is no learning at all. So definitely you choose as per your need, your passion, and your requirement. It is nothing to do with others. Like as I gave you example, MTM member would definitely like to go to other clubs and take up roles and try to finish up their levels. But then otherwise, in Toastmasters, there is absolutely no need for hurry.
Yes. Well, thank you both of you. Thank you both for actually uh, enlightening us with your knowledge and your experience in today's panel discussion. Now, I would like to start with the question and answer round. So, I would request audience to kindly drop their questions in the chat box. Uh, Toastmaster Meghna, Zoom Master, can we unmute her?
Yes, just give me a minute.
Uh,
Done.
hi, Jyoti and Santosh. So I have a question related to pathway electives.
Yes,
So,
Toastmaster
so
Meghna.
I have question related to pathway electives that can you utilize your any of maybe a non-credit role or maybe even EC role to your pathway electives. For example, I tried to utilize my VPPR role in one of the electives called social media strategies, and there is some PR strategies as well. So I would just like to ask that can you utilize your role in that PR elective?
Santosh, you want to answer that question?
Yeah, sure. Uh, there is a rule of thumb that I follow personally. Don't take duplicate credits for one role. By that, what do I mean? In case I am doing a credit role, say a club president or a club vice president education, or for instance, any of the roles, me being the club president cannot be a HPL project, or me being the club VPM cannot be an HPL project. However, in case as a VPM, I'm creating a resource, say a very big resource, like an onboarding induction manual with the help of 3 to 4 team members. I can utilize that in one project, say executing a project. So essentially, the entire role that I take, the credit that I take, normally we don't use it for 2 credits in the Toastmasters system. However, if I'm doing something very significant, that is where I'm using. And say if I'm my club newsletter editor, now that is a non-credit role. I can use it as a project HPL. If I'm even say any non-credit role, I can use it. For credit roles, if I'm doing significant amount of work and creating an asset, that is when I use it, that one part of the role as an HPL. This is what I follow. Jyoti, you
Okay,
can add to
let
that
me
if there
add
is
to
anything.
what Santosh has to
Yeah.
say. While I agree completely to what he has said, there are certain situations wherein a- there are certain projects, like I give you example of lead in any situation, or there is a compulsory project which is team building also. So you do that activity fine, But then when you are doing that activity as a VP, say lead in any situation for a VP education. So he or she has done a lot of struggle throughout the year to take up that role and then doing a lot of juggleries and everything. It goes on just like that, unnoticed, if he or she is not speaking about it. Like, even while preparing that speech, the VP education has to think a lot, put in a lot of efforts, think about those situations which she or she faced and how she came out of those situations, what were their learnings. And those learnings can be useful to other club members as well. So, in such situations, yes, definitely you can take up those projects as your club officer as well. Okay, that's my opinion again.
Yes.
I hope that satisfies Meghna.
Thank you, Jyoti. Thank you, Santosh.
Um, do we have another question in the audience?
Aarti has some question.
Okay. Zoom Master, can we?
Yeah,
Yes.
I've unmuted her.
thank you. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Jyoti and Santosh. The question is when it comes to delivering social speeches. In India, we tend to speak in our regional languages. So social events are also again particular to certain regions. So can we also use another language while delivering such speeches? Is it okay?
Yeah, I think I'll answer that question. It is okay. Sometimes in Toastmasters, we celebrate a lot of regional festivals like 26th January and Independence Day, wherein we definitely use other languages like Hindi and some of the regional languages. So during those times, yes, definitely you can use other language to deliver such speeches. Having said that, there are a few bilingual clubs in our district as well. So definitely you can go there, have the experience of those clubs and deliver your speeches there as well. Santosh?
Yeah, I think that was something that I was thinking to say, that there are so many bilingual clubs. For instance, my own home club right now is Airoli Bilingual Toastmasters Club. We deliver speeches in both Hindi and English. So yeah, you can feel free to go to any of these clubs and deliver your speeches.
But if I'm understanding right, delivering social speech is to be delivered at a event. As the purpose gave an example of, let's say, wedding. So is it necessary to deliver the speech at a social event or deliver a social speech at the meeting?
You
So
can
you have,
assume you
yes.
can assume that your Toastmasters audience are that. And in fact, if you want to become very creative, take your evaluator and deliver it, I would say. Take your evaluator to your marriage and then deliver the speech who is talking to you.
For that matter, Aarti, if you are really looking for your own particular language, you can go south and you can attend any club meeting there as well. It will give you just experience of expansion.
Thank you.
Yes, that would be really a great experience if we can really take our evaluator to the particular location. Well, we can have last question. Toastmaster Ranganathan has raised his hand.
Anga, can you unmute yourself? I've unmuted you.
Yeah.
He is muted again.
Yes.
I don't know why I've unmuted him.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. This question is to Toastmaster Jyoti, and you mentioned in the beginning that you are prompted to join Toastmasters because there was a plastic awareness program that you were going through, and you asked to speak and you couldn't manage beyond a couple of sentences. Now, can you tell me a reverse situation where after you joined Toastmasters, where you participated and you had surprised everybody, including yourself? Could you share one incident?
Yes, that's a good question, Ranga. Thank you. Yes, I have definitely improved as a speaker and as a leader. And Toastmaster does that to you. After having spent 5 years in Toastmasters, the results came to me immediately. The very next year, I had an opportunity. We were doing the street shows for the same reason. And it was absolutely peanuts for me to conduct that activity. So, yes, the confidence and the preparation, those two things I learned from Toastmasters, which helped me.
Yes, I totally agree with distinguished Toastmaster Jyoti for this particular reason. Well, now we would end the question and answer round, and I would like to thank. Sorry, okay. I would like to thank each and everyone who have joined this meeting, and it was a real honor to actually conduct a panel discussion with our experienced Toastmasters, distinguished Toastmaster Jyoti and distinguished Toastmaster Santosh Akela. Thank you for enlightening us with the knowledge and the learnings that you gave today. And I am sure that many people in the audience who have completed their level 2 have got a clarity over which electives they should be choosing with the parameters and the learnings that you have shared with us. I would like to also extend my thanks to the program quality director Toastmaster Sunita and the Zoom master Toastmaster Kritik for helping me out with everything. And I would now like to pass on to the Toastmaster Sanjeev for the same.
Thank you, Toastmaster Kartiki, and thank you, this DTM Santosh and Jyoti. I would now like to invite our evaluator, Toastmaster Sandhya. Sandhya, over to you. I will unmute you. And in the meantime, I'm also posting the feedback form for this session on the Zoom on the chat. So please feel free to provide your feedback as well for the session.
Okay, can I start?
Yes, Sandhya, you can. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sanjeev. And thanks, Kartiki, Santosh, and Jyoti for this very enlightening and interesting panel discussion. I must say I have had a really long day today, unexpectedly long day, and I was actually, before logging in, I was thinking, will I be able to focus on this and give a fair evaluation to the speaker? But now all my tiredness is actually gone after listening to the three of you, and the entire credit, of course, goes to the three of you. It shows how enlightening and interesting the panel discussion was, although it was conducted at a time when at least I am almost ready to go to bed. So thanks for that. Kartiki, coming to your project now. Your project was, the objective of your project was basically to apply your skill as a public speaker and a leader and conduct a panel discussion. And I must say you have done very well in achieving that objective. Now, when we talk about a panel discussion, what are the important key things that we need to think of? The first thing that one needs to think of is the choice of panelists given the topic of the panel discussion. And that, I think, you chose very wisely. You had two distinguished Toastmasters who have had a lot of experience with Toastmasters, who've completed multiple pathways, done different electives. And that shows that why they are the right choice for the panel members in such a panel discussion. So good choice of panel members. The second thing, and I think this is the best thing that I liked about your project today, is your the variety of questions that you had during the discussion. You started with why the two panelists chose to become a Toastmaster, so the beginning of their journey. Then you went on to the criteria that they think are the most important to choose an elective. Then you had very interesting questions like, is it important to complete the pathway quickly and choose an elective that helps you do that? Or which was the most fun elective that they had and their experiences that they shared. And I must say the panelists here also added a lot of their experience and value, and that made the questions and the answers even more interesting. So kudos to you also on that, on choosing these questions. Now coming to what you could have done better. I think the first thing that comes to my mind on what you could have done better is I missed an overall conclusion of the panel discussion. I was hoping that you would do that after the two panelists had spoken and before. It could be either before you opened the floor for Q&A or after that. Other than thanking the panelists and the audience, it would have been nice if you could have summarized what the discussion was all about. What were your key takeaways from what their thoughts were? And that could have also given us, as the audience, a good summary of the panel discussion. So that I thought was something that you could have done. Second thing that I think you could have done a little better. You did this, but you could have done it better was your response to the panelists' answers. Most of your responses were like, yes, I understand. And then you moved on to the next question, reflect on those answers while they're speaking. Did you have similar experiences or were your experiences very different? What was your reflection? That shows that you have understood how they have answered the question. You have internalized their answers, and it also gives the audience a broader picture of how to understand those responses and what can they take away from those responses. So that's the second thing I thought you could have done better. The third thing I thought was, although already said that your questions were very interesting, given that the title of the panel discussion was choosing your elective, there was actually only one question that was fully devoted to choosing an elective. So if I were a relatively new Toastmaster and I saw the poster for Wednesday Wisdom, I would have come to the panel discussion thinking that, okay, today I will learn how to choose my elective because I'm completely confused. Right? So you could have devoted more questions during the discussion to those type of questions as to how does one resolve that confusion, because you had that list of electives in the chat box at the beginning, and that was a good thing that you did. Now that list has 30 electives. Now, of course, when one chooses a pathway, one does not have to do all the 30. One doesn't have to choose between those 30 electives, but there are quite a few electives that one has to choose from, right? So how does one clear that confusion, right? So you could have devoted more number of questions relating to the confusion, right? So there were few questions that touched upon these things, but they were not completely devoted to them. So there, I think, could have done so. And you could have maybe wrapped up the panel discussion by asking the panelists, so finally, tell us what are your top 3 criteria about choosing an elective, right? Would it be, let's say, because you had fun with it? Would it be because you had the most learning experience from it? Would it be because that matches your profession the most? Right? So what are their top criteria? What is the advice that they would give to new Toastmasters for choosing a specific elective? Right? So those type of questions, the answers to those questions would have been very useful to a Toastmaster who is relatively new. So to summarize my evaluation, Toastmaster Kartiki, like I said already, I think it was a very interesting panel discussion and I was completely lost into it. Thanks to you, thanks to the way you conducted it. You have an extremely pleasant smile when you conducted the whole discussion, and that was really nice to see and to experience. And like I said, very good choice of panelists, good choice of questions. You introduced the panelists also well, but where you could have done a little better was have a conclusion, wrap up the points, summarize the points that the panelists told us, then respond to the panelists' answers in a more elaborate way and show them that you have understood what they have said. And thirdly, like I said, devote more questions on the topic that is for the panel discussion. If the topic tonight would have been of the panelists' experience about doing electives, I think you had all the right set of questions. But this was more about choosing an elective or how to choose an elective, right? So devote a little bit more space and time for questions related to that. But other than that, I think, Kartiki, you did extremely well. It was a very interesting panel discussion, very interesting questions. So thank you. for doing this, and for doing this as part of Wednesday Wisdom and not as a part of your club meeting, because all of us here benefited through that. And I would also take this opportunity to thank the panelists, because I also really enjoyed listening to them. So thank you, and over to you, Sanjeev.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sandhya, for that evaluation. We're just 5 minutes over time, but thank you very much, everybody, for staying through. And great session. Thank you very much once again, Toastmaster Kartiki, for moderating it, and DTM Santosh and DTM Jyoti for sharing your insights. We have the next Wednesday Wisdom session again next week. You'll be hearing about it soon. With that, thank you, everybody, and have a great day ahead. Thank you.